Okay, we're going to open the City of Chelsea Traffic and Parking Commission meeting. Okay, first item up, approval of the minutes from the March 7th, 2023 meeting. Okay, anybody second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there's a public hearing regarding the review and approval of 5 parking spaces for 1 year at Shawmut entrance to the Garden Cemetery. Is anybody here for this?
Excellent. So this request pertains to the usage of 5 on-street parking spaces along the frontage of Garden Cemetery for approximately 1 year in association with the renovation project that the city's carrying out to restore the cemetery. So these 5 spaces would be used and fenced in as a construction staging area where equipment materials would be stored throughout the course of the project. So we would make a motion to approve this request.
Can I just ask a question?
Absolutely.
Are they, was this after the fact that they're asking?
I'm sorry, could you speak up a little?
Was this after the fact that, the parking request after the job was approved, or?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Is there something in the city that they can ensure that in future projects that they ask for parking and so that we're not visiting it later?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I was just asking whether or not this request for parking was after the project was approved, and I was just wondering if we could ask for the construction companies or the bidders to put in parking part of the bid so that we're aware of what they're requesting and what the job entails.
We can absolutely accommodate that.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
So I'll make a motion to adopt this.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Handicap sign application September 7th for Maria Rodriguez Gonzalez of 232 Walnut Street.
So this one's been going on for a bit, right? This is the one that's been going on for a few months?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Down the
correct.
pocket.
Yeah, this one's been going on, there's already, I believe, 2 handicap parking spots there.
2 there and 1 on 6th Street, I think, right?
One on 6th Street around the corner. We were looking for some clarification from Mrs. Rodriguez Gonzalez if she would be open to a 10 or 15-minute parking there. I don't believe,
The last time I spoke to her, she mentioned that she was finding spots to park. And she also mentioned that she thought that people wouldn't respect the 10-minute space. So that's what I got from her.
But she's been finding spots to park?
Yeah. When I spoke to her last month.
Now that she's finding spaces to park, including the on-street handicap spaces, do you know if she was still planning on keeping this request or withdrawing this request?
That I don't know. I did send an invite, but that's all.
Thank you.
I would make a motion just to deny it for now. As we said before, there's already 3 handicap parking spots within that vicinity. It's being such a small street, you can't, putting another handicap parking spot there would just take away from the rest of the residents that live there.
Anybody else?
I'll second it.
Okay.
If there's no other conversation on it.
Okay. All in favor of denying?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, communication of December 22nd from Councilor DeJesus requesting the review of a speed bump at the corner of Clinton and Washburn Street.
So as a lot of folks know, speeding is a frequent occurrence along Clinton Street. So this request, as well as subsequent request, entail the proposed placement of speed bumps in order to slow vehicular speeding in the neighborhood to enhance pedestrian safety. We generally reviewed this, have no operational concerns at this location, a speed bump, if it were to be implemented, could be instituted without negatively affecting drainage or roadway operations. I would defer to the fire department as there are operational considerations, though.
Yeah, I mean, our usual one is, you know, just the height of it and getting by it, you know.
Yeah, but my concern more is this, like, we never looked at, if a car goes and hits that at so much speed, is it gonna, if something were to happen fatally or something tragically, would the city be liable if they would've hit that and caused such an accident that it caused that
On
kind of damage?
on Washington Ave, when they first
mean,
put
you've
those
never-
in, we've had them.
I mean, you've never hit that bump with a fire truck going 45 miles an hour.
Well, we've hit the
If
one on
you had to,
Washington,
though, you
we've
probably-
hit the one on Washington Ave going
Did you?
that, when
With
they
the speed
first
of
put
the
them
truck?
in and before they marked them. Yeah,
So unfortunately,
absolutely.
I mean, you get guys driving and ambulances going by there, and if they gotta slow down just to get over it, I mean, I'm all for litigating the speed and doing something, but I don't know that speed humps, I mean, if we keep going at this rate, we're gonna have speed humps on every street.
Yeah, they're gonna be everywhere.
I mean, we've already got quite a few, and I don't know if they work out any better than bump outs, Alex, in terms of,
Depends on the
Slowing the
street.
traffic?
Yeah, it depends on the street, depends on where the feature is cited. You know, in this instance, we are planning on replacing the sidewalks this construction season. There aren't any curb extensions planned for this area at this point, since those, when we looked at them, would necessitate moving catch basins and getting into drainage.
is it something we can push to possibly have more of a police presence there on certain streets, especially if Clinton Street seems to be a problem? I know it's probably a problem on most streets, but if we had some
Well,
kind of,
just so you know, it was a few years back, but we did place the speed sign, the recorder on Clinton Street, and it turned out that everybody thought speed was a factor, but according to the data, speed wasn't a factor. So, but, you know, easy, you know what I mean? But
So if the speed wasn't the factor, why would we put speed bumps?
because people's perception is that everybody's speeding, because it's a long, straight street. But when you look at the numbers, the amount of cars that travel down it and the amount, speed is actually not a factor,
Yeah.
so.
I think with that in mind, you know,
Yeah.
proposing an incremental approach, maybe starting by some enhanced enforcement, seeing what the officers come back with to report relative to how common speeding is.
And we'll run all the accident data.
could you
and
do
stuff.
you're talking about the wire that goes across the street?
No, the
You're talking about that one.
the sign with the
We already
red.
have one speed one there, but that just tells you your speed as you go,
Yeah.
and it doesn't say anything.
Yeah, we could definitely put the speed sign out there again, and
I think I'd agree more with Alex than rather, like I said, soon enough, we're gonna have speed humps on every street. I just don't know, other than bump outs or any other something to litigate people's speed down the streets.
So I'd make a motion to approve enhanced enforcement and propose that we revisit this request in, let's say, 2 months, once there's some data available.
okay,
I'll second the motion.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, communication of December 22nd from Counselor De Jesus requesting the review of a speed, oh, did I just read that?
No, there's two.
Oh, I'm sorry.
two of them
It's
on the
Clinton
same street.
Street that connects with Crescent Avenue.
I think that's kind of lumped into,
I think it's lumped in, but it's also closer to the intersection, so
I don't see
I would
there's a
say
need
you
for
don't, there's no need for there's already a stop sign there as you come up to that intersection with Crescent, so there's no need for a speed hump there, I would think.
Yeah, and if we're going to propose anything in the intersection, we would want our consulting engineer to evaluate options, just given how busy that intersection is. So similarly, I would propose starting out with enforcement, collecting some data, and then seeing if that'll improve perception or if we need to take additional measures.
Okay. Anybody second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, communication December 22nd from Counselor Lopez requesting the removal of a stop sign at the top of Highland and Marlborough Street.
Good evening. Yes, I had some complaints about that stop sign coming up on Highland towards Marlborough Street, especially in the winter. And people said it's dangerous. And because I had 2 complaints, that's what I put in for to see if we can remove that stop sign. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I think it's a safety issue there. And we can make people stop on Marlborough Street instead of up to the hill. Thank you.
I agree with Council Lopez says. I think as you come up that hill, if you stop in any kind of ice or snow, you're gonna slide right back down the hill.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've witnessed it. You know, even driving up that hill, just generally speaking, if you do go to stop, you know, if you're not foot on the gas immediately, you end up rolling back down the hill. So there are definitely some safety issues at that location.
So I would think public hearing for this?
Yeah, I propose moving this to a public hearing in order to collect resident feedback.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, communication February 3rd from resident Craig Moore of 948 Broadway, requesting to make Clark Avenue a one-way street in the southwest direction between Stockton Street and Webster Avenue.
So since we fielded this request, DPW and Housing Community Development collected data on crashes along this segment of Clark, as well as assessed operations. And usually when we're looking for issues pertaining to narrow streets, we look for things like side swipes, parked vehicles being hit, and other types of crashes. So we didn't see anything that stood out to us in terms of the crash data. We have also begun canvassing neighbors to collect feedback on the benefits and drawbacks of converting the road to a one-way. But at least from a design perspective, we don't see any major benefits with regards to safety and operations if we were to convert this. But again, I would propose moving this to a public hearing as well to make sure we're not missing anything and hear from residents on it.
Can I ask you a question? If you change this one street to a one-way, how does that impact the rest of the streets that are connecting to it?
Yeah, so this particular street segment is one way, and then everything south of here on Clark also eventually is one way. So this is a circulator for the entrance into the back entrance into the Parkside Plaza. And so this is used as well by neighboring residents, so residents of like 932 Broadway. If you're pulling out of some of the retailers and the laundromat on Stockton, for instance, and you're going towards Parkside Plaza, but you want to get back to Broadway, you'll cut down here and go up. So it would have some level of circulation impact and make
Okay.
it a bit more inconvenient for folks.
I mean, like, do you study that when you look at changing streets? Okay.
Absolutely. And there wouldn't be anything fatal here, but it would certainly be inconvenient.
Yeah.
And we already have, Alex, from 7, the peak hours is already a no left turn off of Webster, so it's already from 7 to 9 technically a one-way. Even if you were to say, if some of the data showed that you could do that in the afternoon as well in the morning, that might help too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what's the motion gonna be?
So I'd make a motion to move this to a public hearing, just to hear from residents on their request before we make a final decision.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, communication of March 10th from resident Theodore Bezbikos of 184 Chestnut Street, requesting parking restrictions between 3rd and 4th Street.
So this request pertains to instituting a daytime resident-only parking restriction along this section of Chestnut Street. So a lot of folks might be familiar with the portion of Chestnut Street that's located north between 5th and 4th. Presently, that has a similar restriction. And so that's really to prevent folks that are not residents from parking here, hopping on the bus or going downtown, impacting the availability of space for residents. And so this is something that we would generally be in support of as long as it works for the neighborhood. I would defer to the other commission members and also propose moving this to a public hearing before we make a final decision.
Okay, anybody have anything?
I'd second the public hearing.
Okay. Okay, all in favor, public hearing?
Aye.
Okay, communication March 22nd from Mohammed Lamalam of Al Huda Society, requesting the approval of parking relief during Ramadan at Willow Street area.
So annually during Ramadan, Al Huda Society submits a request for parking relief to the city. Al Huda has been a valuable community partner of the city's for quite some time and have contributed to many citywide events and the community at large. And so this would be a request for parking relief between March 23rd to April 21st, which would allow their members to park without any type of ticketing while they're at the mosque for services related to the holiday. So in previous years, we've approved this request. They have always managed parking very carefully. We have not heard any complaints historically from neighbors around any type of bad or negative impacts. So with that, we would recommend approving this request. Absolutely. So this request is for parking relief for Al Huda Society and their members during the Ramadan holiday between March 23rd and April 21st. Ramadan, correct. And they've submitted this request, which has been approved in years past, and it's always been well managed.
And it's just for the daytime hours, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We can reiterate that to them.
Okay, motion to accept
So
it?
I'll make a motion to accept this.
Okay, anybody second? Second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, communication March 23rd from Councilor Recupero requesting the commission to reconsider installing a stop sign at the corner of Pearl and Essex Street.
I put for this before. I came to you once before. And from what, I don't have the paper with me because I seem to have misplaced it, but from what I remember is that will create more of a congestion. That logic doesn't fly. For one, you have a stop sign on Park Street. You have a stop sign this way. Now, that street, Pearl Street, is two ways. So when they come up from the Meridian Street Bridge, I live there and the people live there. I don't know if any of yous live there, so yous don't know what it is to go there when it's fully traffic, but you can't move at all. So they come in and they block from here to here, and you can't go up Essex Street because they block it. I don't know if any of you seen it, but that's what they do. So the people shouldn't have to suffer. Even me, I live there. I shouldn't have to suffer and wait. If you have a stop sign that's here, why would be the difference putting a stop sign on the other side? You're not stopping the flow from going back to the Meridian Street Bridge. You're stopping the flow from coming up into Park Street. You're not really stopping it at all. What you're saying is, don't block the way of the entrance, because that should be open. You know, I don't understand why you disapproved it the last time, and you say because it will create a traffic jam. There's already a traffic jam there. Has anybody seen what it is down there?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't understand what there was the excuse why you can't do that. And if you already have one on one side, why not the other side? So why is that side creating a traffic jam? I think that makes it go a little smoother because you stop, he stops, and then they go. If you just stay in the middle, there's people, drivers, we're not all the same drivers. There's a lot of drivers that got hot heads, and they don't want to yield to anybody. So once they go there, they ain't gonna move. So what would you want to fight with somebody? If there's a stop sign, then you make him go. He stops, waits, and then he goes, instead of blocking the entrance. And the last time you said the reason was because it would create a traffic jam. There already is a traffic jam. What you're trying to do is make it easier for the people that live there to go up where they live. You know, that's it. There's no reason why you can't put a stop sign here when you have one on the other side. Doesn't make any sense to me.
You're welcome. I got a question. Have you ever seen anyone block the intersection coming down from Park Street or Cross Street and just stop in the middle of the intersection? But they have stop signs. So what's a stop sign on Pearl Street is going to do the same thing. They're going to come to the stop sign like this. They're going to stop, and they're going to move 5 feet forward, and they're going to block Essex Street anyways.
But when you go from road, you have a stop sign there. You stop, right?
Yeah.
And then you wait and then you move. You always do because you
Only if you can move forward. You've seen that intersection at 2:30 in the afternoon? It's a zoo.
go on Essex Street, you go up Essex Street. It's a one-way street. So all the traffic that comes this way and goes around, they block the entrance.
Correct.
So if you put a stop sign, they might, it doesn't say it's gonna permanently fix it, but it's better than doing nothing at all.
True. I agree with that. But if we put the stop sign there, cars are just going to come, stop, and then go and block the intersection anyway, especially if they can't go forward, whether you have traffic down Hawthorne Street going to the school, whether you can't make, like today you couldn't make the left-hand turn onto Congress.
I'm not saying to you that's gonna be a fix-all. What I'm saying is, if you can alleviate the problem for the people that are there, maybe give them
But a possible redesign, like Alex, as far as I know, is something in the books that it might be, correct, yeah. But a
What-
possible redesign might fix all that in
What
the
about
future.
striping, you know what I mean, when they
just gonna say,
stripe for the no
about that.
gridlock on the intersection? I think
Right.
that'd probably be more effective than the stop sign, because they'll know not to stop there.
And we can
And-
enforce it.
And we can put a cop there and write them tickets for that, yeah. Could you sign in, please? Oh,
What are you here for?
To speak on some of this stuff, so,
to speak on this?
yes.
Okay.
Clary Angelis Covas, Caraballo, and I just want to speak on this and then some of the motions that Mr. Recupero has spoken on. So, not so much as far as the stop sign is concerned, because obviously, like, I'm not a design genius or anything along those lines. I do travel quite a bit because my son does go to the ELC. I do happen to know that the congestion there, especially with the uptick as far as the any type of construction, people tend to go from 0 to 100 for no specific reason. I'd like to also keep in mind that while stop signs on all 4 sides might not make it any better, that area is a little bit more heavily congested these days because people are using that area to get around town a little bit faster now than they were previously because of construction in other sides. So I understand that this isn't necessarily an always type of thing, but it is a now, and the school is in that general area. I won't get too sidetracked, but the last time that most of these items were presented, I believe the board did say that, that they were going to be conducting a study, and just to see like what the traffic flow of things was going to be for most of these items on the agenda, and then just kind of figure out what was going to be best. So I just want to see if that did happen, and then just kind of, so that I don't have to go back and forth, if anyone did have that, as these guys did come back to you guys from City Council, if I'm not mistaken. So another thing as far as the stop signs or however you guys might distribute it, the honor system is not working up there. During school time, the residents get pretty rowdy because everybody has to go from one place to the other. And sometimes that other place is to the next school to pick up their next child, and they do get pretty aggressive, sometimes with staff, bus drivers, even other personnel. So at least if there were to be an accident, then there's liability because the honor system is clearly not working. So just something to consider.
Okay, thank you.
So we're gonna start with signage and striping on the road?
And enforcement too?
Yeah, proposed signage, striping, stepped-up enforcement as a starting point, and then if that's ineffectual, we can revisit measures. We're also in the process of wholly redesigning this intersection, so Park Square as well as Pearl and Essex. It's a longer-term project. It won't be implemented for a few years, but this will also, allow us to strengthen that design process. So we're going to start by striping the intersection with the Don't Block the Box, work with the police department to increase enforcement, and also add signage there. And if that doesn't work, we'll come back to the drawing board with you. I don't know what the number is off the top of my head.
I know blocking an intersection is a fine. I just don't
I'll
know.
tell the officers to write warnings for a while, okay? So,
Yeah, it carries a penalty, absolutely.
offhand, I don't know what the fine is, but, no. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so that was your motion?
So I'll make a motion to institute the Don't Block the Box striping, add signage, and increase enforcement.
Okay, you second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, who seconded the motion?
Okay, communication March 23rd from Councilor Recupero requesting the installation of a speed bump in the middle of Essex Street between Shawmut and Lynn Street.
back again. I asked for this before quite a few times, and I can never understand why you would deny putting there when there's a bus that picks up children at that corner and they speed. And besides, as after the stop sign, they speed down, going down. After you pass from Lynn Street, they stop at the stop sign, then whoop, and they speed up. And you have a bump on Hawthorne Street. You put a speed bump at the corner of Hawthorne Street and Lincoln Square. So, you're saying to me, we can put a speed bump on Hawthorne Street, but we cannot put one where the children are, where they actually go at the corner of Lynn Street and Essex. There's a bus stop there every morning, picks up the kids. So you can't put speed bumps there, but you can put one on Hawthorne Street. How does that make sense? You're saying to me, well, if you're not gonna put none, don't put none nowhere. Don't decide you're gonna put an Hawthorne Street and you're not gonna put one down the other end. Because that's kind of that doesn't make any sense. And I always heard the excuse for the years that I've been here, always the excuse that I always got, and I'm gonna tell you what I always heard. The fire department, it wrecks the trucks when they go over. The DPW can't plow because it goes over. But now you have speed bumps in the city. So if you have speed bumps put everywhere else, why can't you put it where they need it? Where children go there in the morning and get picked up. Children don't matter? Or maybe, I don't know what is it? Doesn't that district matter? Or whatever it is, that district should matter. Because if you put one on Hawthorne Street, you should put one down there. Otherwise, don't put none nowhere.
Yeah, I think from our department's vantage point, we have no issue with proposing a small speed bump here that's, 2 inches, 3 inches max in height. I know in the past there were some operational considerations that we had to work through, so we decided to, as a commission, not move forward with it, but would be curious to hear feedback from other members of the committee.
Well, if we're gonna lump them together, I can see putting one between Shawn and Lynn, but at the corner, I can't see putting one because there's already a stop sign.
Yeah.
After that, maybe halfway down to Highland, maybe, but not right at the stop sign. Can you go up there, please?
the microphone.
Just so we can hear you.
Mr. Train, you said that there was going to be additional redesigning. Would it serve better to have like the speed tables and maybe like the yield sign that flashes? Not where.
They have one down at the bottom, right? They have 85 miles an hour.
No, not the speed table that actually tells you the speed, like the solar ones that they were putting, that actually,
I think the one like you were
that
talking about.
reads the speed.
That just tells you your speed.
But-
We have those, yes.
But that might be a better indicator than rather than having the speed bump, because they're still doing construction in that area. And those little speed bumps, I believe from what they were saying, they have to be painted, because otherwise that could still, I'm thinking about the summertime too, and between the bicycles too, and the mopeds.
They have speed bumps on Hawthorne Street. They have a speed bump, and because on that side, there's two of them here. One is at the corner of Lynn Street going down after the stop sign, which is Essex Street going down after that. They have a sign, 25 miles an hour. That's not this one here. This is the one before it.
I know, Mr. Recupero, but they overlap each other, and it's already, like, it's that,
They overlap each other because one is in the middle, and the other one is in the middle of the street as they go after the stop sign. He knows, after you go after the stop sign, right, you already have a sign.
They're called radar signs. We already have one radar sign on Essex Street.
You have the little thing that says 25 miles an hour, whatever it is, right? But there's no, after the stop sign, people speed and they go down the street. You know that?
Isn't the radar after the stop sign?
After the stop sign.
It is, yeah,
After the
yeah.
stop sign, no, the rate is right at 140. You know, at the corner of 140.
Just after the
It
stop
doesn't do
sign.
anything. It doesn't deter them from going fast. It just tells you how fast you
It flashes the speed. Whether or not you obey it is up to you, but correct, yeah.
I put in for a speed bump, after that, as you go halfway down on Essex Street, like in front of 140, 139, because after you stop, people go speed. They speed over. For many times, I've seen people go into the wall. Now there's no more wall, but they used to go into the wall. That's that one. The other one is in the middle between Shaw
Where's the bus stop exactly, Gio? Is it on the,
That's the one in the corner.
do they stop on the, at the stop sign on Lynn Street at Essex, or do they stop in the middle of the block?
Yeah, but
Stops right at the corner of Lynn and Essex.
Okay, at the stop sign.
that's that little.
Stop sign. So you wanna put one before, with,
Correct.
what you wanna put is one on top of it, so it slows them down from coming.
So it's a one-way street with one side parking. If the bus is parked in the middle of the street, who's gonna speed by it? No, not on Essex Street. Essex Street's a one-way with one side parking. If the bus is in the middle of the street picking up kids, there's no way that anyone's speeding behind it. They're not gonna go where they're gonna go.
Well, tell that to the guy, Mr. Lewis. Tell that to him when he got crushed
Who?
by a car. That there was a bus and he stopped and the guy still ran him over.
Did he go around the bus?
He didn't go around the bus. I'm putting this before the bus. This is up on the street with the corner. Where's
No,
the
no,
street?
I know where you, I know the,
So,
the spot you're
say that
talking
to Mr.
about.
Lewis. He got squashed. He had a big lawsuit that where the guy hit him, and he was right there, was speeding, and he squashed him. So I live there. I know how it is. They speed. You don't live there, so you don't see them. You assume. Don't assume if you're not there.
No,
to
no, I'm
see
not
what they do.
assuming, yeah. But I do know that we added that stop sign at
Well-
Lynn Street, at Essex Street a few years back because of the speeding, correct?
There are many things over there for speed.
No, what I'm saying, I know that, but what I'm saying is at Essex Street at Lynn, there was no stop sign a few years back, am I correct?
There was no stop sign. What do you mean? There always is a stop sign.
No.
Between Lynn.
No, we just added the one at Lynn Street. Now, there's a stop sign coming down Lynn at Essex, but you had a straight shot from Essex to go from Shawmut all the way to Highland without stopping, about 5 years ago.
There was always a stop sign on the corner. It was upper. They never put it down. It was upper. Then they pushed it to the corner. They always had it.
At Lynn?
It doesn't. What I'm saying is, when you go there, right, in the morning, right, you're on Shawmut. You come down from Shawmut, where Essex Market is, right? So from there they speed up. They do speed up.
And then they stop.
Then, if they want to. I seen them go blow stop signs all the time. That's if they want to stop. But what I'm telling you is there's a bus there. There's kids. After the bus leaves, the parents still walk.
Oh, after the bus leaves, correct, yeah.
You know, so the bus is no longer there. What's to stop you from hitting those kids?
After the bus is gone, correct, yeah, but you were talking about, I thought you were talking about
No,
when the
I'm
bus
telling
was
you,
there.
there's a bus stop.
After.
Once the bus leaves, the parents get their kids and they move them. So who's to stop them from going speeding down?
True, nobody. It's up to them, their
So
conscience.
there's no more bus now, right? Bus is eliminated, just the children. That's the whole thing. When the bus leaves, the kids are still there walking with their parents. They cross the street. You know, but the part that I still don't understand is, if you put one on, what's the difference between out on street and there?
So-
Tell me the difference. Explain to me why out on street rates a speed bump and
Well,
there it
let's,
doesn't.
you know, hang on, let's not talk about Hawthorne Street, let's just talk about Essex Street, because we can say
No, I
this
understand.
street, this street, this street, but let's just discuss
I
Essex
get the
Street
point.
together.
See, I'm
yeah.
trying to make a point,
No,
right?
we-
The point is,
oh, well, we
you
understand.
have one there, you can have, I'm telling you, there's children there. The bus leaves, who's to stop them?
No, we understand your point.
So back to the
Nobody
fire
should stop.
department's
Oh,
suggestion.
hang on one second, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, so just with regards to the fire department's suggestion around, considering a small speed bump that's between Shawmut and Lynn, but not placing anything that's at the corner near the intersection, I think is pretty reasonable, particularly given the fact that the stop sign's present there currently.
Okay, so that's your motion?
So I'd make a motion to approve a speed bump on Essex between Shawmut and Lynn, but not approve a second one at the corner of Essex and Lynn because of the fact that it's at the corner and there's currently a stop sign present.
Anybody second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that takes care of number 13. All right, communication, March 23rd, from Councilor Recupero requesting the commission to notify council with actions taken during or prior to traffic and parking meeting to allow ample time for council to review and make informed decisions.
What's that? Which one is that?
Number 14. I'll read it again. From Councilor Recupero requesting the commission to notify council with actions taken during or prior to traffic and parking meeting to allow ample time for the council to review and make an informed decision.
I know that they say that we get notified, or we get this type of meetings, but sometimes what happens is, it comes later. It doesn't get exactly the same time. I was wondering, my audit specifically wants to know if it can be, as soon as you have a decision, it will come send up to us, the same time. That's it. It just, when you have a decision, they'll come up, and they'll come up to the council, to the secretary or whatever, and she'll have it there. You know, the same with, like tonight, tomorrow you make a decision, right? So tomorrow, how long does it take for you to make a decision?
You will, once we've approved, that's what we did now. We approved the first one,
Right
let's
now,
just say.
right?
But those minutes have to be approved. That won't happen till the next meeting.
Right, but I'm saying you can send it up a little faster so we can know, because sometimes it doesn't come that fast.
But we can't send up a decision until the minutes have been approved at the next meeting. So there's always gonna be that 1
So
month.
it's 1 week behind all the time.
No, 1 month.
1
1
month
month
behind.
behind.
So like tonight, Jim, even though everybody here said yes to whatever number we approved.
doesn't go in effect
It doesn't
until
go in
the-
effect until next Monday when we approve the minutes. Like at the
Okay,
beginning
we
of
have
this,
to approve it.
the beginning of this meeting, we said, do we approve the minutes from last month? And we did. That's when you would get
All right, so it
notification
would have
from
to be
them.
a month. So each decision would have to be a month.
I think one thing we could consider, and I'll defer to the city clerk's office on this, is whether we could, share an update that, these were
Yeah,
the actions
all right.
taken that are
That's-
not confirmed,
That's great, Alex. An update.
just so
See
you're
how it is.
informed.
Yeah. Step to the mic.
Yeah, just because, like, for example, like, I know that we get the agenda printed, but anything that's gonna be discussed on the agenda or any items on the agenda, that explanation or anything that's to be discussed, it even says like, we can get the items on, and obviously some items, are gonna be like a little of more confidential, resident confidentiality, and that's gonna be separate until it goes into official public notice, which could totally be something that's gonna end up being in the, hey, we'll keep you guys posted. But as far as the residents' transparency and the residents being up to date, I know that in the last city council meeting, we were talking about potentially figuring out a way to just kind of streamlining all of the process so that City Hall and everything just runs a little bit smoother, and that we just have a little bit more of ease, and kind of the residents and everyone just knows like what's going on and how it's working. I feel like that might kind of help if we just have more of a notion of when certain things are going to happen, and how. Because, for example, if we have certain things that are just resident only during certain hours and it's around school zones, some of the teachers are not necessarily all residents only. There might be some parking lots that are first come, first serves, and those are allocated for teachers. But again, it's first come, first served. Not all of our teachers and admin and staff are Chelsea residents, just like not all of our admin here are Chelsea residents. So things like that are just things to consider, as well as when we're doing city work and that kind of jazz. So
So you're just asking for something to be put on the website that's...
Clarification.
yes, clarification, just a little bit more of an explanation. It doesn't have to go in depth as far as like if it's gonna have any resident specifics. And also, I don't know if this is for you guys, but also if there is a special resident sticker variance that you guys might consider. I know that you guys are.
Well, we can't go off topic and start discussing other things. That'll have to get put on the agenda if you want to
Oh.
talk about resident stickers and other things, because we
Okay.
just can't go there
Okay,
right now.
perfect.
Yeah.
You
But I
guys
have a
don't
question, because I don't, I just want to understand. So when we submit the things, right, the agendas, right, and the minutes get, we vote on the minutes and everything, what is the span between from our meeting, when all that gets ratified, to when you get it? What is the time, like when?
Depends how fast it comes up.
But usually,
She sent that.
but what I want to know is like when is so let's say
The speed hump.
let's say
Use the speed
let's
hump,
say we
that's
do
not
this today, right? We do something today, and then it goes through the process, and then when we're complete with it, right? We vote on the minutes and everything. When is your meeting in relation to our meeting? What I'm saying is it a week? Is it a month? Is it?
Depends.
fortunately, I have new people in the office, and so this is what he's addressing is really, it's mistakes on our end, if I'm gonna be blunt, of not forwarding it right away. So when you guys approve something at a meeting, we put a communication to council, and it goes on, hopefully, their next agenda, and then they vote on it. They wouldn't get anything, and I think this is for every approval and other committees, they see what we approved, our actions. And if, for example, your last meeting, you did deny one of the 3 items that you had. So in all fairness to the counselor, I think the miscommunication here is it's not until your next meeting minutes, whatever you approve here, we send to council. We have not been sending it according to that schedule. We are working on it, and we will be better at it because I do have a lot of new staff in the office. So I do apologize for that. So I just think it's a miscommunication. The council should be getting it a week later, or depending on when your meeting is and their meeting is, it'll be 2 weeks later. And then if they approve it, we wait for the paperwork from council that they approved it. Then we forward it we put it in the paper. Once it's in the paper, we send it to DPW to enact whatever we approved. So it's not something that we're doing, and so your actions that you approve are the actions that go to council. I think the misunderstanding here is that it's not getting to them in a timely manner, and I apologize on the behalf of my office for that, but we will get better at it. It's just, I do have a lot of new people in the office, so I do apologize for that. But in fairness to him, he's right that it used to come more consistent, and so I want to say the past couple months we've been kind of missing that, but we will correct that moving forward. Okay?
So that makes sense to me. I do just want to applaud the work of the city clerk's office. They do a tremendous job and sustain a lot in the city, so.
So technically, this isn't really something we can vote on, then? This is just an
Correct.
internal process?
Internal administrative matter, yep.
Okay, let's go to, next one. Communication, March 23rd, Councilor Recupero requesting the city manager and the commission look into implementing handicap parking spaces in the business district on Broadway.
I know that if you got a handicap placard, you could park at any meter. That's, like, anybody that has a handicap placard knows. But if you go on Broadway, there is no spots, none whatsoever, for any disabled person. And I believe that they should have a couple of spots just for just for the people that actually have that sign. Not saying that if you have a handicap, yes, you can park everywhere, but you can't find parking, so what's the point? It's very hard to find parking. But if you have at least a couple of handicap spots in the middle there, there's at least some kind of, maybe someone could park, you know? So and I don't think there's none at all. I've never seen one on Broadway. There's none. The only ones I see, there's 3 of them right here at City Hall.
That's specifically the City Hall, but you're right,
Yeah.
Gio.
There's none for the other side, and I believe there should be some.
And as part of the large downtown Broadway infrastructure project, we are planning on adding handicap spaces on each block. That's a year away, though, so I think it's a great idea to look into this in the meantime.
Well, so you're gonna try to add some handicap spots?
We can take a look and, if feasible, try to add some in the meantime. So I'd propose tabling this to the next meeting, and we can recommend locations for spaces.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody second that?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Table?
Aye.
A communication. You're welcome. Communication, March 27th, from Jeff Coates of J.W. Lopes requesting no parking signs on the Farmer side of Carter Street from the entrance of the commuter rail to Vale Street and on 4th Street between Carter Street and slightly past Elm Street.
So this request encompasses the segment of Carter Street that's located between Everett Ave and the railroad tracks adjacent to Catalent Pharmaceuticals, the new apartment buildings, as well as the smaller produce companies tucked back at this corner. And so this request cites a turning movement conflict between trucks that are traversing Everett, as well as Vale, turning onto Carter, and parked vehicles that park on the left side of Carter if you're looking down at the railroad tracks. So they're requesting a sizable number of spaces be eliminated. One thing we did explore prior to this meeting is whether we could potentially eliminate, maybe 1 or 2 spaces closest to Carter and Vale, just to provide a larger turning radius for the trucks. With that said, we would not be supportive of outright eliminating all of the parking along this strip. And before making a decision on any parking, we would propose moving this to a public hearing.
Okay, anybody second that? Public hearing? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, does anyone have anything else? Okay, so meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
All right.